Welcome to Week 7 of the Iowa Conference Series here on YouTube. And before we get into last week's results and this week's matchups, do want to give a big shout out to the National Defensive Player of the Week from my Don Bosco Dons. It's Duncan Stockton. He was phenomenal. 5 tackles and 4 sacks in the win over Solon. So shout out to Duncan Stockton. He is your National Defensive Player of the Week. And before we get to this week's matchups, here is a look at the results from last week. First of all, Waverly-Shell Rock stays unbeaten as they score a last-second touchdown to beat Waterloo West, 21-17. They're up to number 8 in the country. Iowa City High falls at Grundy Center, 21-13. My Don Bosco Dons get past Solon, 42-28. The Dons are up to number 9 in the nation. Waterloo Columbus, too much for Prairie, 20-7. Starmont, way too much for Waterloo East, 70-14. The Stars stay unbeaten. They're up to number 2 in the country, while Waterloo East, they're still looking for that first win of the year. Williamsburg gets past Gladbrook-Reinbeck on the road, 38-17. And Iowa City West was too much for Central City in that one, winning 38-24. And now here in Week 7, here are, first of all, our user matchups. We'll start in Lynn County as Cedar Rapids Kennedy takes on Starmont. Then Don Bosco will hit the road, and they will take on Gladbrook-Reinbeck in what is actually a very good 8-player matchup year in and year out in real life. Number 8, Waverly-Shell Rock hits the road to take on the Little Hawks of Iowa City High. And I will block out the result of this one to not spoil anything since this was already played at the time of me recording this intro. But number 4 ranked Cedar Falls will be back from their bye week, and they are hosting Waterloo Columbus. In non-user action, Waterloo East still searching for that first win. They will host Central City. Grundy Center is going to head to West Point to take on Army in non-conference play. Solon hits the road to take on Cedar Rapids Prairie. And Waterloo West is back at Memorial Stadium as they host Williamsburg. So some great matchups in this one. And we will start over at Kingston Stadium in Cedar Rapids as number 2 ranked Starmont looks to stay unbeaten. They'll take on Cedar Rapids Kennedy. Here we are at Kingston Stadium as Starmont takes on Cedar Rapids Kennedy, and the underdog Cougars strike first. That field goal is good, doinking in off the left upright, but the Stars waste no time getting a response as Jace Shaw is going to run in from 15 yards out. The third-string running back gets on the board as Starmont scores the first touchdown of the day. They lead Kennedy 7-3. The Cougars looking to respond all day back there in the pocket, but it's breaking down, and Terrell Williams II gets home for the sack. Back to the Stars now as Elijah Fitzgerald sits in the pocket, takes a shot for DeMarcus Gaskins, but it's overthrown and it's intercepted, picked off by the Cougars. Tackle on the return by Jason Zandamella, but the Cougars get the ball and the field goal is up and good, and shortly before the half, we've got a 1-point game, 7-6. Starmont leads with just under 3 minutes until the break, but a deep shot here. Fitzgerald to Michael Hilton. He makes the grab, and he's going to go all the way. 75 yards to the house for the Stars. That's the Starmont offense we know as they get the explosive touchdown, and now they have the ball back up 14-6. Again, Fitzgerald goes for Hilton. That's caught, and that's a touchdown. Michael Hilton gets another touchdown grab. He's had an explosive final couple minutes of this half. As second half now, Kennedy trying to get back on the board. Pass across the middle is caught, and that could be a touchdown. The Kennedy Cougars are going to go all the way. An 84-yard touchdown strike. What a big response there by the Cougars as they're back within a score, 21-13. But here comes Anwar Johnson. He gets some good blocks. He's going across midfield. He's got plenty of room. Spin move. Oh, what a run by Johnson. He's down to the 37-yard line. The Stars trying to capitalize on that big run, but they cannot. It's intercepted again, looking for Gaskins, but it's going to be picked by the Cougars. And they're going to get it back down by 1 score, but it goes back to Starmont. And once again, here comes Johnson. Great block there by Bond. And Johnson's going to go all the way. 73 yards to the house for Anwar Johnson as he scores a touchdown, and Starmont not having their prettiest game of the year, but they still lead big 28-13. Now Fitzgerald all day in the pocket, and Michael Hilton has several steps on the defender. He's gone for a 55-yard touchdown bomb. Starmont finally really stretching this lead out. As Kennedy stuck around for a while, but this third quarter has been ugly if you're the Cougars, but it's been pretty awesome if you're Starmont. As once again, Michael Hilton gets another touchdown grab. That's his 4th touchdown of the day. And here comes Javius Bond once again. Blocking is there. He's got a foot race down the sideline. The defender has the angle and will catch him, but it's still a huge gain all the way down into the red zone at the 19. This is the freshman quarterback, Mike Levine, into the game. He hands it off to the running back, and he's going to go all the way for the touchdown. Another Starmont touchdown as their backups are even getting it done. Starmont way too much for Cedar Rapids Kennedy here today. As the quarterback Levine's going to keep it himself, he gets in once again. And it is a blowout victory here for Starmont as they take down Cedar Rapids Kennedy and remain undefeated. Now let's head over to the Gladbrook-Reinbeck football field in Gladbrook as Don Bosco heads to the road and takes on the Rebels. Third and short here, but a good stop by the Don Bosco defense. Evan McCormick gets back there, and they're going to have to settle for a field goal try are the Rebels. Kick is up, but it is blocked by David Batista. Ball's loose on the ground, and it's going to be picked up. It's picked up by the defensive lineman, James Fortune, and he could go all the way. 10-5. Touchdown, Don. Touchdown, Don Bosco. James Fortune returns the missed blocked field goal all the way for a score. Don Bosco strikes first. They lead 7-0. Now here, Fitzgerald, deep shot. C.J. Major makes the grab, and he's going to go into the end zone. 51 yards on the touchdown bomb. Don Bosco having fun so far here in the first quarter. They lead 14-0. Don Bosco ball again. Good pass there to Braylon Seymour to get inside the 10-yard line there. First and goal from the 6 now. The Dons trying to extend their lead. Here's Duran Sunday, but the hit knocks the ball loose, and it's going to be recovered by the Rebels. A big mistake there for Don Bosco as the ball is turned over. They will get the ball back. The Rebels trying to make something happen here late in the half, down 14-0. It's going to be a delayed handoff, but DJ Dingle gets back there to make the huge play. Now it's going to be Don Bosco ball, but the ball is loose. The ball is fumbled and picked up by the Rebels, and nobody's going to catch him. What a massive mistake for Don Bosco, as that is a touchdown defensively for the Rebels, and just like that, they're back within a score, 14-7. Oh, what a big mistake for the Don Bosco Dons. And now the ball goes back to the Rebels. They have a chance to tie the game before half. Deep shot down the field. That's picked. Mel Wilson Morrell high points that football and picks it off beautifully. The corner had a ton of picks last year. They moved him to safety to help fill out that defensive backfield, and he gets his first pick of the season. And now the Dons trying to make something happen before the break. Fitzgerald getting out of the pocket, looking to take off, but instead chucks it deep for Michael Hilton, who makes the grab, avoids the defender, and he's into the end zone for the touchdown. 60 yards on the touchdown strike as Don Bosco takes a 21-7 lead shortly before the break. The Rebels trying to make something happen here before halftime. 2nd down and 10, but here comes the defensive line as Dingle and McCormick both got back there, and that will be your halftime score, 21-7. Don Bosco football first, and here comes Duran Sunday. Excellent blocking, and he's got all sorts of speed. He's at the 50, the 30. He's going to go all the way. 10-5, touchdown Dons. Touchdown, Duran Sunday goes 84 yards in the first play of the second half. Boy, he's having a great season, as it's a 28-7 lead. And now Randy Kelly's going to make it 31-7. On the field goal, it is good. Don Bosco continues to extend their lead. 31-7, the Dons are on top. Now, Elijah Fitzgerald looking at end zone, has C.J. Major completely alone, wide open, but he's overthrown. And that was the last straw for Coach Warrington as he calls on the freshman, Quintarius Ezike. He's going to come into the game. Pitches it back to Michael Hilton, the wide receiver, who's going to have a first down and more, almost to the 10-yard line. Ezike is being redshirted this season, but this is only the second game he's appeared in. So he does get up to 4. Here he keeps it on the read option. Juke move. And for the first time in the young true freshman's career, Quintarius Ezike is into the end zone for a touchdown. The youngster out of South Carolina gets his first career score. That's got to feel good for him. As the Dons lead 38-7 here on 2nd down, that's too much time as Don Bosco gets back there. The defensive line, Duncan Stockton in there on the sack. Now 3rd and very long, 3rd and 12 for the Rebels. But a deep shot, and that's going to be caught. TJ Usaf got beat. And that is going to be 77 yards to the house for Gladbrook-Reinbeck as they score their first offensive touchdown of the day here in the 4th quarter. The Dons still with a big 38-7 lead. Here's a give to Duran Sunday. Great blocking. He gets outside. He's going to get nearly to midfield, taken down at the 49. He's having a phenomenal ball game. Another big run. But the ball does go back to the Rebels here. They have 2nd down. Looking downfield, deep shot, and that is the most wide-open receiver I have ever seen. Clearly some pretty catastrophic miscommunication by the defensive backs, as that is as wide open of a player as I've ever seen in my life. They will go for 2. It's going to be intercepted. Well played there by Zarel Hart, and the 2-point conversion is no good. But it's fortunate that this is not a close game because that was pretty pitiful. The Rebels will go for an onside kick here. Kick takes a high bounce, and Braylon Seymour is going to pick it up, and he will go down right away. So the Dons get the football back up 38-20, continuing to run clock, and here comes Jerron Sunday once again getting outside. He's got all that speed inside the 10, juke move all the way down to the 7, as that's a big first and goal set up for the Dons. And here Ezike fakes the handoff, is going to keep it himself, and Quintarius Ezike runs into the end zone for his second touchdown of the game. The true freshman only gets to play in up to 4 games this year to keep his redshirt status, but he has been exceptional here today. Touchdown pass here late for the Rebels, though, as Coach Warrington was a little upset about the Rebels feeling the need to continue using timeouts and kicking onside kicks when this thing's completely out of hand, but nonetheless, as Orel Hardin picks up the onside kick, and the Dons decided the 2 can play at this game, as could have easily kneeled it out, but if we're going to be scoring late touchdowns, Jerron Sunday can do so as well. Don Bosco gets the late touchdown as Jerron Sunday plunges into the end zone, says goodnight. That's your ball game. Don Bosco wins it 52-27. Some late scores by the Rebels, but overall a dominant day for the Dons as they get set for a big matchup next week against Cedar Falls. And now we head down south to Iowa City, where the Little Hawks are taking on Waverly-Shell Rock, but that play had no chance there as the Go Hawks were back there in an instant. Now the Little Hawks trying to get something going offensively, but once again, just not enough time as the defense breaks down, and that's a big play for the Go Hawks. As unfortunately, we didn't see the actual touchdown itself, but here Taylor Hermanson gets into the end zone on a touchdown, on a quarterback scramble, that is, as the Go Hawks strike first midway through the second quarter. They lead 7-0. We do have a replay of what happened, as here I'll show you the replay. As Hermanson dropping back in the pocket, not seeing anything, he decides to step up, and he runs almost untouched into the end zone. That's going to be a touchdown for the Go Hawks, but the Little Hawks trying to respond, as it's going to be a play-action pass, but that's not going to get it done. That's an immediate sack for the Go Hawks. That was Ashton Maxwell getting back there. Now it's 3rd down for Iowa City High. 3rd and 9. Pressure's there again. A deep shot. He's got a step on his man. That's caught, and that's going to be a touchdown. Touchdown for the Little Hawks. Noah Rustin got beat deep that time. And just like that, Iowa City High ties the game at 7. But here, Lucas O'Doyle getting outside, and with less than a minute to go until the half, Waverly-Shell Rock takes the lead back. 14-7 our score now as the Go Hawks get into the end zone. Waverly-Shell Rock up 14-7 here in to start the fourth quarter, but that's going to be a sack as Hermanson took too much time and got sacked by Michael Gilly there on his blind side. But they will try a field goal here. Levi Hartford going to try a field goal to make it a 2-possession game. Kick is up, and it is good. It doinks off the right upright and in, as Waverly-Shell Rock gets a much-needed field goal there. It's a 10-point game, 17-7. City High trying to make something happen, but the play-action pass was the wrong call against that pass rush as it gets there in a hurry for the sack. Now 4th and 14. This wouldn't quite end it, but the Little Hawks really need to get this. The pass is caught, but it's a yard short of the line to gain. And that was a very bad move there if you're City High. And here comes Juan Vaughns, and he's going to go all the way for a touchdown. That's going to basically seal it. Waverly-Shell Rock pulls ahead further, 24-7, late in the fourth quarter. Good play there by Vaughns. City High now down big with just 1:20 to play. That pass is going to be caught, though, and that's a chance to go all the way. 10-5, touchdown City High, as they will score late to bring it back to a 10-point game, 24-14, but it's too little too late, as that is your final score. Waverly-Shell Rock stays unbeaten. And we'll finish this thing up in Cedar Falls at Tiger Stadium as they take on Waterloo Columbus. But it's actually the Sailors that strike first in this one as they find the end zone on that run. 7-0 Columbus here in Cedar Falls, a Blackhawk County battle here today. But Adam Madison takes a deep shot for Jay Kumar, and the tight end's going to go all the way. 63 yards to the house for Kumar as Cedar Falls knots the game up at 7. A big-time play there for the Tigers, a good response to that touchdown from Columbus. And there's another really good response. That's picked off, and that is 6. Touchdown for Albert McAfee III, a pick 6 for the Tigers as the defense once again making plays, and they lead 14-7. Looking to extend that here later in the first quarter, and that's another touchdown. Deuce Washington III gets into the end zone for Cedar Falls as they have extended this lead big time with a 21-0 run. The Sailors going to try a field goal to at least get back on the board and try to swing some momentum. Kick is up, but it is pulled wide right. No good. Just absolute disaster if you're Columbus. Cedar Falls leads 21-7 here in the second quarter. Madison is going to be intercepted. It's picked off, going for Kumar, but a good play there by the Columbus defender. Good hustle by Madison as well as Washington to get back there to make the tackle, but it's still a big play for Columbus. They'll try to take advantage of it here. 2nd and goal from the 5, going end zone, but it's intercepted. A big pick by Cedar Falls. Kayvon Justice in the back of the end zone. And that's how you make up for an interception by your offense. You get one for yourself. Good play there. As now, a play-action pass. Madison all day in the pocket, taking a deep shot down the field. That's going to be caught, and that's a big first down nearly to the red zone. Brendan Blankenship on the reception. Now it's 4th and goal from a yard out, and that is going to be a 4th and goal touchdown. Mac Bannister comes in there on the heavy set at running back, and he gets into the end zone as Cedar Falls takes a 28-7 lead over Columbus. Still going here. 4th and goal again. 19 seconds to go until the break. Madison getting out of the pocket. Looking end zone. He's going to keep it himself, and he's in for a touchdown. Adam Madison runs in for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, Cedar Falls in a 35-0 run. They lead 35-7. Columbus on the last play of the half, taking a deep shot to the end zone, or nearly to the end zone anyways. And that is once again intercepted. Kayvon Justice, his 2nd pick of the half. And at the break, Cedar Falls with a big 35-7 advantage. And they're looking to extend that here in the 3rd. It's a give to Washington, nearly untouched into the end zone. It's a 42-0 run for Cedar Falls after they trailed 7-0. That feels like a very long time ago. That run of points is finally ended as Columbus gets on the board, but they still trail 42-10. And they're going to try to get back on the board once again, and they will do just that as it's caught. Good diving effort for the touchdown. But this thing has been over for a very long time as Cedar Falls still leads 42-17. And that is going to be your final. The Tigers, the first half explosion, they win this thing 42-17. They stay unbeaten as they get set for a huge matchup next week. I'll tell you more about that in just a second. But first, here is a look at our updated conference standings. Waverly-Shell Rock remains in first place. They are 6-0, and they are not in conference action next week. They will play non-conference action. So they are guaranteed to at least stay tied for first place in the conference. Starmont improves to 5-0. Cedar Falls 4-0 in conference play. Don Bosco, the one conference team with a loss in the season. They are 3-1, 5-1 overall. And next week, Cedar Falls and Don Bosco will meet up in Gilbertville in the national game of the week. College game day coming to Tom Ryan Field for that big matchup. And that will be a big one. To have any shot of going to the conference championship game, they're going to have to win that one. Either way, Cedar Falls or Don Bosco need to win that game to go to the conference title game. So that'll be a huge game. As I said, the Go-Hawks are in non-conference action while Starmont continues their conference play. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining us for this episode of the Iowa Conference Series here on YouTube. We'll be back next time with another exciting episode, including a huge matchup between Cedar Falls and Don Bosco. You won't want to miss that. So we'll see you back here next time right here on YouTube.